Hello, hello, hello. Or hello. Okay, what the hell is that?
Wow, that was weird. Like
That
you're
was a
like, oh,
weird. That was a weird glitch, right? I
yeah,
wasn't.
you're like
I
we're
saw
gonna
that.
record it. It's like and all of your video quality and audio quality is gonna go ahead and drop to zero.
Okay. 20 seconds in. All right. Hello. Okay, didn't glitch that time. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything we say here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion is entirely hypothetical.
It's all in Minecraft, man.
It's in Minecraft. Yeah, it's something like that. It's like Minecraft Inception. It's like Minecrafting in Minecraft. We're like that far deep in our hypotheticals.
We're doing meta as we can.
Yeah.
It's meta.
Nothing. What's a meta with you?
Oh, God. You can't fool me. I know there's no sanity clause. Actually, have you seen the new Animaniacs?
I have not yet.
It is disappointingly leftist, very blatantly leftist this time. It poked fun at everybody before. Remember back in the late 90s, it poked fun at everybody left, right, center.
Oh yeah, it ran par for par with South Park.
Yeah, and now they have an entire episode on bun control with a guy trying to give everybody bunnies. Yep. And there's a couple of other jokes that are distinctly hard left in it. There's the opening of it. I mean, but within the opening they do like a gender, like something about gender neutral, gender neutral, multicultural, and ethnically diverse or something as part of new opening. And one of the things they say is that something about the trolls, and they're like, but we did meta first. And
who does the new Animaniacs? Is that a Disney one or?
Well, it was Warner Brothers originally. It's still Warner Brothers, but it's through Hulu, so it's all going to be on Hulu. I watched the entire first season all the way through. The Pinky and the Brains, the new ones, are great. But the Animaniacs, the actual episodes themselves some of them are okay. Some of them are very, very hard left. So take from that what you will. Yeah, it was disappointing because I was like, I was really hoping that it was actually going to be like it was before, where it's making fun of everybody and it's just poking fun at all, pop culture and everything else, and like, oh, isn't that great? Nope. It's hard left and it's obsessed with Donald Trump, and yeah, it's wildly disappointing.
That's sad.
Yeah, I was really hoping for something a little better and a little more meta and like laughing at itself a little bit. And they still slip a few adult jokes in. So they at least still are trying to get away with stuff, which is fun. Like with the back in the original series with the where they're like, we need to dust for Prince, and I found Prince, and it's the artist formerly known as God is holding, and he's like, no, idiot, fingerprints, and he just looks at her and smiles, and she goes, that's not going to happen. And
yeah, I'll have to check it out. We switched to Hulu a couple weeks ago. And like the first, like I knew it was on there already, but like we switched to Hulu, like we signed the account, we get our little information, sign in. Like the very first thing I watch is Sons of Anarchy,
Yeah.
Watched it straight through.
The funny thing is I think the entire series on DVD. I have never watched past like the halfway through the second season. Like actually just sat down and watched it ever. Don't know why. I never bothered. Like I've watched chunks of later episodes and things, but I've never actually like watched a full episode past halfway through season 2. Like I got to that point and then I'm like, Cliff Notes. All right, let's go.
They go to Ireland.
Yeah, I watched through that.
Okay.
I watched through the Ireland part, and then that was kind of where it stopped. And after that, it was just like, I'm just gonna watch chunks and pieces and like keep walking away and doing other things, and then coming back and watching a little more, and then walk away again and not pay attention. And yeah, so I haven't watched a full episode in years.
Yeah.
I know how it ends.
One of the coolest endings ever,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Like father, like son, I guess. But
yeah, something like that. So,
spoiler alert! Shit, we should have done a spoiler alert.
Fuck no! If they haven't seen it by now, they're not gonna watch it.
Yeah, that's true. That's if you don't know that Dumbledore dies on page 496, that's your problem at this point. I don't care.
I have no way to segue from that into anything that I brought to the table.
Oh, damn. See, this is why you read the articles. That way you can find a segue, but I got nothing, man.
All right, okay. How about we do? How about we can segue disappointing recreation of past things. How about that? That's
yeah.
All right. Speaking of disappointing things in the second act, the Pentagon fails another audit, but will likely get a budget increase from Congress anyway.
What outside of government? What world could you possibly live in? You'd be like, yeah, I might have lost a few $1 trillion over the years, but you guys are going to give me more money, right?
No, okay. It gets worse than that. It really it really does. Okay, it's this article from Reason. It says the third time wasn't the charm for the Pentagon, which has once again failed to successfully complete an audit. Thomas Harker, the Pentagon's comptroller, told Reuters that it will be another 7 years before the department can pass an audit, something that it has never accomplished in previous attempts. 2018, 2019 turned literally thousands of problems with the Pentagon's accounting system and millions of dollars worth of missing equipment.
Can you imagine if you went to the IRS as a person and were like, hey, man, I know I'm missing a bunch of stuff, and like, give me like 2/3 of a decade or so, and then man, just nail it.
In a statement, the Pentagon lauded the fact that auditors had, quote, cleared more than 500 issues identified in previous audits. That serves as a compelling evidence that the effort is worth it, even if the clean review is still impossible. The Pentagon had resisted being audited for years, though Congress passed a law in 1990 requiring that all federal departments be audited every year. It still took nearly 2 decades for the first Pentagon audit to be attempted. The department now says it is benefiting from the process.
And what is the largest part of the United States budget?
The largest single issue. It's
the single biggest section of spending in the American budget, the United States budget, is defense spending. And it took 20 years for them to even bother
18
to audit
years,
it
yeah.
at all.
18 years. And then they failed. They failed in 18, failed in 19, failed in 20. But by 2028, they swear that they'll have it under control.
Good God. But don't worry though, there's definitely no room for any kind of horrendous fraud or unscrupulous activities of any kind in this at all. This just trust the government with your money.
Yeah.
They know best.
A full report on this year's audit, which covered more than $2.7 trillion in military assets, is expected to be released in January. Before that, Congress is likely to sign off on a boost in military spending. As part of the new $1.4 trillion discretionary spending bill expected to be passed during the upcoming lame duck session, the Pentagon is expected to get about $10 billion boost in funding. That will happen in spite of another failed audit and regardless of the fact that America's budget deficit has soared to record highs in the past year as COVID-19 pandemic has taken its toll.
So we have no money. We have no idea what you're doing with that money. You're not going to bother to even tell us what you're doing with that money for another 7 years, but we're going to go ahead and give you even more money.
Okay, one more paragraph. Congress is also expected to sign off on the purchase of dozens of new F-35 fighter jets, despite the fact that last year's Pentagon audit called the entire F-35 program, quote, a material weakness that was putting taxpayer dollars at risk.
Well, I mean, we have quote unquote combat ready F-35s. Probably.
Probably.
They are
maybe
very probably going to be okay-ish once or twice in combat. That's about where we're at with these things. And that's after how many trillions of dollars on this boondoggle. And oh my God. And remember, that's the jet that couldn't fly because the helmet broke. Yep.
Yeah.
That thing. And it's and remember, it's also the jet that wonderfully was going to have the vertical takeoff built in, kind of like a Harrier, but be able to fly like an F-22 horizontally. And then the vertical takeoff thing was like almost killing people. And so they were like, well, I mean, it's only going to be for emergencies, but it still kind of works. Like what?
There. Let's see. What does it say? I went to the other article. The next year spend $696 billion to the Pentagon. That's a 10% billion-dollar increase. Blah 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 blah. Upcoming lame duck session where the military gets 96 new fighter jets, or whether it will settle for a mere 91. So they're gonna get a lot. A lot of money.
Wrap your head around just the insanity that is going. I have no idea what you're spending this on. We know one of the few things we know you're spending this on is a terrible idea and has just been a waste of money. And you keep saying you're losing tons and tons and tons of money, literally tons. That's how much it weighs. I mean, tons of money. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to kick that up another $1 billion.
Yeah. This is happening at the same. Did you see the Mattis op-ed?
Yes.
He's calling on Biden to remove, quote, America first from the foreign policy strategy.
Ironic.
Oh. Yeah, Mattis said in his op-ed, he said, in January when President Joe Biden and his national security team begin to reevaluate U.S. foreign policy, we hope they will quickly revise the national security strategy to eliminate America first from its contents, restoring in its place the commitment to cooperative security that has served the United States for decades. The best strategy for ensuring safety and prosperity is to buttress Americans' military strength with enhanced civilian tools and restored network of solid alliances, both necessary to achieving defense in depth.
Remember that whole, what was that thing that Jefferson said?
He said, in practice, America first has meant America alone. that has damaged the country's ability to address problems before it reaches U.S. territory and thus compound the danger emergent threats pose.
Damn it, we haven't been able to blow up as many brown children in foreign countries since that started, and it's just offending my delicate sensibilities.
Wait, he said, yeah, wait, quote, sovereign countries have always had choices to compromise with aggressors, take actions opposed to U.S. interest, opt out of assistance when the United States needs it, or cooperate with one another on activities from which the United States is excluded.
Since 1945, has any major military action in the entire world not included the United States? When has that been an option for a foreign country? I'm kind of curious. Has there ever actually been an option? Like, has the United States ever actually asked anybody, would you like us to invade you? I don't think.
Well, Libya told the U.S. no.
They did. I think they're the one and only, but they're also a nuclear power, aren't they?
I have no idea.
I think Libya has nukes. Or they're at least close to getting there. Or no, they don't have nukes. They have like bioweapons, and they're constantly trying to get nukes. I think is what it is with Libya. But Libya is also, not exactly friendly with American foreign policy. So that doesn't totally surprise me. But the fact that they said no and America was like, okay.
According to Wikipedia, it says that Libya started a nuclear program in 1969. The program was dismantled in 2003. They never had a nuclear weapon test, and they did sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Okay, I knew they were like they were close to getting a nuke at one point, but okay. Yeah. Hey man, 2003, we invaded Iraq, and then I just stopped paying attention what foreign countries are doing, because at that point I was kind of like, hey, you're trying to defend yourself against America. That's fair. Because clearly, like America's that obnoxious neighbor where you don't invite them to your barbecue, but they show up anyway, and then are like, oh, you don't have a vegan option? Like that.
They show up, eat everything, flip the table, and be like, this is your fault. This is your fault.
Yeah, and then they're like, hey, at least I made the party great. You're welcome. And it's like, dude, you owe me like $30,000 for the damage, and they're like, no, I don't.
But then they kick you out of the house and live in your house for a while.
No, just move in. They move in and they're like, this is mine. And you're like, that's literally my bedroom. And they're like, no, it's not. So I was in your kitchen and I couldn't help notice, but you had some oil. It looks like your kitchen could use a little liberating.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, your Italian sandwich has oil on it, so I think that's gonna have to be mine now. In the name of freedom.
Pulling the copper out of your TV. Precious metals, precious metals.
It's just, every once in a while, you just punch one of your children, and it's just like, you made me do that. I want to have to, but you made me. This is your fault.
If you would just comply, that would not have happened.
Yeah, exactly. If you would have just helped me out here. Why are you still in my house?
Our house. Comrade.
Our house. I'm just making sure that nobody in this house decides to do anything to my house. That's why I'm here.
That's what it is. I'm occupying your house to keep you from invading my house. Something, whatever.
Right. If I'm not in your house breaking your stuff constantly and punching your children, how can I be certain that you won't decide to come to my house and borrow my lawnmower and never give it back?
Yeah. Not only that, but we're going to bring kids from Los Angeles to live in your house in lacrosse to protect you.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Protect me from you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And what you might do to me because I invaded your house and stole your sandwich. That's American foreign policy. Like, I think that's how you should teach it to school children. Yeah. It's just like, imagine there's this guy and he just decides
to move in your house,
show up to your barbecue and then eat all of your food, walk into your kitchen, take your sandwich, and then go, I'm gonna stay here to be sure that you don't come into my house, and then also punches your children.
But then he puts on a blue UN helmet and rapes your wife.
Yeah, but you know what? He had the helmet on. He's peacekeeping. He's just trying to peacekeep. And before you know it, all of his relatives have moved into all of your neighbors' houses too. And you're like, hey, wait a minute. And they're like, hey, I don't really like you being in this neighborhood, man.
and then he finally leaves and your neighbor sells you into slavery.
Yeah. That pretty much sums up all of American policy throughout history, real succinctly, I
think. There's pirates in there somewhere too.
And if he denies, and then when he denies your ability to go shopping, so you show up and you slash his car tire, then he's going to come over to your house and blow it up completely.
Twice. Escalation.
All I can think of with that, though, is Brian Regan talking about how much he hates the one thing led to another. He's like, I hate when people use that in stories. Like, well, one thing led to another. No, there's a significant amount of story that could be packed into that. Like, you could start out a story with, well, in the early 1920s, Adolf Hitler, a former corporal in the German army, was a failing painter in Berlin. One thing led to another. And the United States dropped a pair of atomic bombs on the sovereign nation of Japan. There's a little story in the middle there.
It's like a 7-year-old telling a story of U.S. history.
Yeah, one thing led to another, and then we dropped atom bombs. What? Whoa!
And then there were dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, and then there were dinosaurs, and.
Oh,
hey man, the history that you get taught in American public schools is not far off from just going. And then there were these dinosaurs, and they had lasers, and like it has that much bearing on real history. So
it's like you remember the South Park episode where they took on the crash in 2009, 2010, and there's like the scene where they're in the Federal Reserve and they're talking about who to bail out, and they cut the head off a chicken and the chicken runs around on this like giant target board and falls over, and they're like, bail him out.
That one. Hey.
Oh, that's similar to U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, who's in charge in that country this week? Do we dislike that guy or like that guy? I don't know. I think what's his name? Mustafa? I don't think I like Mustafa. Let's go ahead and bomb them.
All right. I don't know where to go with that.
By the way, if you're gonna audit me, I'll give you 7 years.
Yeah, give me 7 years. And maybe I'll be ready.
Maybe.
Yeah. But you better give me more money next time.
Next time the IRS audits me, that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to take a copy of that letter that said we need another 7 years, modify the Department of Defense to just my name, and send it to them.
There you go. Okay. Andrew Cuomo calls a sheriff who won't enforce mask mandates a dictator.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
It definitely doesn't mean what he thinks it means.
What kind of a dictator lets people have freedom? I mean,
yeah. He uses it in like literally the worst context possible too. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo responded angrily Monday to sheriffs in the state who said they would not be enforcing a COVID-19 restrictions that limit indoor gatherings, including during the upcoming holidays. Sheriffs in 4 New York counties said last week on social media that they would not be enforcing the coronavirus rules, claiming their jurisdiction does not apply inside people's homes and that the orders were not constitutionally defensible. Quote, this is an emotional time, political time. Everybody has their own strongly held opinion, right? You have a strongly held opinion that says, quote, COVID is an overreaction. It's a hoax. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not following these rules. You have sheriffs upstate who have said, I'm not going to enforce the law, Cuomo said during a press briefing. Quote, I believe that law enforcement officer violates his or her constitutional duty. I don't consider them law enforcement officer because you don't have the right to pick laws that you think you will enforce and you don't enforce laws that you don't agree with. Right? That's not a law enforcement officer. That's a dictator. God bless you. Don't ask me for help.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. This one line, quote, I believe that law enforcement officer violates his or her constitutional duty. He invokes the Constitution to enforce unconstitutional laws, and he calls them a dictator for not violating the Constitution.
Somebody needs to just like walk up and hand him like checks and balances for dummies, and just slide that over and be like, about that whole like constitutional duty thing. Yeah, about that.
It gets better. His statement gets better.
It's like this whole thing needs to be written for him and Grant.
The governor said that's what happens, the governor said what happens in people's homes is absolutely the government's business. Quote, laws apply in your home. Domestic violence applies in your home. Drug laws apply in your home. Yes, it does.
Well, as we all know, that is exactly why no one on the Democratic side of things had any problem with Texas's laws against homosexuality, right?
Oh, totally.
Because laws totally apply in your home, and what happens in your home is absolutely the government's business. So apparently, that's why no one argued with it. Yeah.
It's so like, as a Californian, as a lifelong Californian, we have our own issues here with Newsom and all that. I'm happy I don't have Cuomo as a governor.
He really is like, I mean, this is one of those things where like you got to reference Mark Twain and his like being confused. Is everybody in government actually this stupid, or are they just putting us all on? Like, is he actually this nuts, or is he just like pretending? Like,
I honestly believe he is this nuts. There is another one that another article about a court case regarding his where is it? I know where the article is. He said Governor Cuomo calls the U.S. Supreme Court religious gatherings ruling irrelevant. He called a Supreme Court ruling that said that he can't suspend religious gatherings. He called that ruling irrelevant.
The Supreme Court of the United States.
Yes.
The Supreme Court.
Yeah. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Thursday dismissed as irrelevant a U.S. Supreme Court decision blocking coronavirus restrictions imposed on religious gatherings, said it related to specific areas that were no longer considered at high risk. The court which decided to have a 6-3 the court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, voted 5-4 late on Wednesday in favor of a request by Roman Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn and 2 Orthodox Jewish congregations for an injunction to block the restrictions from being enforced. So
I'm starting to, what it is that he thinks that the Constitution, he actually has no idea what it is. He's confused. He thinks that the Constitution is like the divine right of kings. That's what he thinks it is. He doesn't understand what it is. Somebody needs to maybe explain to this U.S. governor that what the Constitution actually is, like what it actually says. Because I think that's where the confusion is.
As all statists do, Cuomo is not immune to this. He treats the Constitution, the law of the land, quote unquote, as a drive-through menu. Like I'll take a First Amendment, but hold this and substitute that, and I'll take a Second Amendment, but hold this and hold this and hold this and add that. They treat it like an a la carte menu that they can pick and choose from.
And the fact that there are still people who think that like that's still an important document just boggles my mind. Like they clearly don't care about it. They don't give a shit because they will just ignore anything they don't like.
They've never cared about it. Ever.
Yeah, ever. I mean, since the very beginning, they haven't cared.
No.
At all. I mean, you had when the 13th Amendment was ratified, you had governors who had to be forced to allow slaves to be free at gunpoint because they didn't care that it was now part of the Constitution. They just didn't care.
No.
I mean, there are so many things in the Constitution that just get completely blown off. Cops will willingly and have always willingly ignored the Fourth and Fifth Amendments as it suited them.
First, second, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah. Without any problems. States have ignored the fact that Congress is the only one that's supposed to be levying taxes. The fact that taxes are supposed to be equitable for everyone and not percentage based specifically has been getting ignored for a little over 100 years.
How about the government's the government, according to the Constitution, doesn't have a right to own private property.
Yep, but let's just go ahead and ignore that.
We have an article about that too coming up in a little bit in California, because California.
Yeah, I mean it's never mattered to them. They don't care. They've never cared. And when any government agent actually obeys the Constitution, and like these sheriffs are, where they look at it and they go, well, I don't find this to be passing constitutional muster, and I find this to be tyrannical, and therefore, under checks and balances, I am morally obligated, as well as actually legally obligated under that doctrine, to not enforce it because I disagree with it, because I find it to be unconstitutional. And this psychopath's response is, well, you're not living up to your constitutional duty by obeying the Constitution.
You dictator.
You dictator. How dare you give people freedom? What?
Oh.
Like, reality's over here, and Cuomo's kind of over here, and there's a chasm there that is just very large, and I think it's shaped a lot like the borders of New York City.
Well, it's a I've said this before. I don't know if we've really talked about it on the show. I've mentioned it, but there is a caste system in this country. It's not an official caste system like they used to have in India, or still have in India, one or the other. But there is a caste system in this country, and the politicians and the rich liberal actors and the mouthpieces, the media and all that good stuff, they believe that they are above the common man. Absolutely believe they're above the common man. And shit like this, where he called a Supreme Court ruling irrelevant. That's like God complex level shit.
And the same people who you will see on Twitter celebrating Cuomo, who says things like that, are the exact same people who also go, oh, well, the government's not tyrannical. You don't need to worry about maybe having to rebel against them. That's ridiculous.
They just spent 3 years calling Trump Hitler.
Yeah, they did. They're like, oh yeah, well, and then you brought up right for the past almost 4 years. Oh well, I mean, you guys were so worried about you said that we weren't going to need guns, and remember the Jews all said, well, if only we hadn't let them take our guns, we could have fought back, and you're like, oh well, the government's never going to turn into you're not going to need guns to defend yourself against some tyrannical, insane Nazi government. And then immediately started calling Trump Hitler.
Immediately started calling Trump Hitler. This year, every single month this year was like, I don't know, it was like a 30 or 40 increase, or 30 or 40% increase over last year. Like more guns were sold in like the last 9 months than the previous 2 years combined, or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Biden comes in and they're all screaming, oh, gun control, gun control, gun control. The fuck did you buy those guns for then?
Yeah, exactly. Well, no one needs an AR-15. Well, then why'd you buy one?
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to when Biden gets in and starts talking about gun control. The secondary firearms market is going to be lit.
Oh yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. I need to get rid of these guns. Well, I'll give you $100 more than it's probably worth if you go ahead and give it to me instead of taking it down to that gun buyback program.
Oh yeah. Oh, you want to get rid of that ammo too?
Yeah.
Well, I know you paid $800 for that case of 5.56, but I can, I'll give you $350.
Yep. I expect it to be included with the gun.
There you go. I'll give you retail price on the gun if you throw in the case of ammo.
Yeah, and it's gonna be gorgeous. It's gonna be gorgeous. I mean, that's the thing too, is you have all these people who spent 4 years arming up against the government themselves, while having also simultaneously laughed at the right, the political right, and the political neither, arming themselves against a tyrannical government. All of these people are now suddenly all armed and they have body armor and everything else. And Biden and Harris especially are going to go,
oh yeah,
you don't get to have guns anymore. And I am curious how many of them are going to go, wait a minute, what happens if you guys get voted out and another, like, Trump gets voted in? I don't want to not have guns. What about all these crazy righties who are see, and then all of a sudden they're going to be like, wait a minute.
Then the what's the secondaries, the tertiary, whatever it is, the tertiary gun market, where I sell them back the guns that they sold me really cheap, where I sell that back for like double and triple money. That's going to be lit also.
Yeah, I know that you bought this gun, or that I bought this gun from you for $350, but
look at the market says it's worth $7 right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to charge you $750 for it, man. And no ammo will be included. Sorry about that.
Ammo, it's $1 a round.
Yeah, $1 per round for 22.
Yeah. What? Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, because you can bite me.
3 years from now, I get my nods.
Yeah. Finally, you can afford.
I can afford my nods. Yeah.
Yeah, and that cool, soft, like the liquid to non-Newtonian fluid body armor that's out there. That stuff's so neat. Yeah, you'll finally be able to afford, and it's like almost $10,000 or something ridiculous for it. Like, you'll finally be able to afford that, and
finally be able to afford nods that are completely out of date and irrelevant.
Yeah, that are still probably about 5 years behind where current technology is. But hey,
there'll be enough to get me a loot box. That's for sure.
I mean, the fact that even like Gen 1s are still like $300 or $400 makes me laugh so freaking hard, where I'm like, what do you mean 3 or 4? It doesn't cost that much to make those. What is wrong with you? Those are Gen 1. Those things are from the 1990s. What?
The flip down monocles. The flip down monocle one. $700. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Speaking of defiance, I guess that's a decent segue.
Sure.
Dozens of Loveland businesses make pact to stay open despite level red restrictions. This is out of Loveland, Colorado. And I love this. I love this article. More than 65 Loveland-based companies have signed a pact to stay open for business as Larimer County moves to level red restrictions. Level red on the state's COVID-19 dial is one step away from level purple, which is a complete shutdown and restricts restaurants from having any indoor dining or guests. The businesses that join the agreement believe the country and state are imposing restrictions that are unfair and unnecessary to small businesses. Quote, "We are not going to shut down," says Clay Caldwell, owner of Beta Gumbo in downtown Loveland. Caldwell, who has used his business and kitchen to feed thousands of meals free of charge amid the coronavirus pandemic, said he joined the pact because the government was allegedly placing much blame on small businesses which may not have had any record of COVID-19 spread. Quote, "It's all about fairness," Caldwell told CBS 4's Dylan Thomas. Quote, "Each of these businesses have families and that they require to make money so they can live, and they have every right to do that." Caldwell said, speaking on behalf of the growing list of companies agreeing to defy level red enforcement, said he believed big box stores were unfairly being allowed to move forward with operations, while small companies with more direct oversight of guest safety are being chastised. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, none of that's wrong. None of that's wrong. That's
yeah. He says, "Quote: Here in the restaurants and bars and small businesses across Loveland, we are being penalized and coming under a verdict which was unjust. That pisses me off," Caldwell said. Quote, "If we get any more sanitized in here, I could start doing surgery and make a hell of a lot more money."
pretty much completely sterile, goddammit.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and it's, I mean, where to this stage now with a lot of businesses where, I mean, mine is to this point now where to comply and everything, like one of my employees got COVID. I got COVID. Another one of my employees may or may not have gotten COVID. Although now, to make things even better, strep is going around.
Oh, and flu season. So,
yay! Yeah, hooray. So I'm looking forward to this one. But because of health orders and stuff that I have no choice but to comply with, I actually had to have a professional sanitizer come in and sanitize every potential surface and all of the computers and everything in my entire store. All of it had to be sanitized. And one, that ain't cheap.
No.
By any stretch of the fucking imagination.
Especially not now, right now, because I'm sure they're in the
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not cheap. It's really expensive. It's really time consuming. It's doubly expensive because while they're in there, obviously you have to be closed and they don't work weekends. Yeah. So if you need it done, you're doing it during a day that you should be open and during regular business hours when you should be open. So you're not doing business. You're not, functioning as a business. So you're losing money there and you're spending thousands of dollars on this, all to make the health department happy, when really I probably could have just gone around with a couple of Clorox wipes and a UV light and sanitized the shit out of everything myself, and it would have been fine.
My mom would have walked in with a spray bottle full of bleach. All right, good. Growing immune system.
That's probably fine. I mean, it's ridiculous because you know what they don't require you to sanitize? The money.
There's which as we know is one of the dirtiest or carries the most germs.
It's horrendously gross. If you ever see somebody wipe a swab on money and then on the little what are they called, the little gelatin things, the Petri dishes, it's horrifying. And they were like, it's fine. Don't worry about that part. But I mean, it's the thing that you handle constantly, and it's
Yeah,
the
they'll put
dirtiest thing.
they'll put a sheet of plastic over the ATM, but the money is, sponge. It's a germ sponge, really.
Which is absurd because again, it would be the easiest thing it would be arguably one of the easiest things in the world to sanitize because you just have a strong enough UVC light shining on it and it would kill everything in it just fine. You wouldn't have to worry at all. But that's expensive. And so no one ever does it. And but they made me do all the other stuff, but I don't have to sanitize the single dirtiest set of objects in the entire store. Because that's how this whole thing is working. It's just all a bunch of theater. It's a bunch of security theater, like everything always is. And now in Colorado, the people who are like, no, this is stupid. This is enough security theater. I'm done with this. I'm not doing this. This is dumb. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and attack you specifically because how dare you not play along? The emperor's new clothes only works if everybody pretends that the emperor has his clothes.
Yeah, like I know your business is dying and you had to lay off everyone and you're like 3 weeks from closing your doors completely, but you're gonna kill grandma. That's whatever.
Yeah. You just want people to die. That's I love, first of all, like I like to call that the Jewish mother argument.
I started replying yes.
Yeah, I do, actually. But that isn't why I'm arguing with you. That is not important to this. But it's the Jewish mother argument, right? You just want me to die, don't you? Just stab me in the heart right now. Just stab me right in the heart. I don't care. You just want me to die. That's what the argument is.
Your Jewish grandmother and your like Kenosha accent are almost identical. But it works. But it works.
Well, it's because they are really close, actually. They're very nasally. Although there are fewer R's when you're a Jewish grandmother. But it's, I mean, that's what it is, though. Yeah, don't you know? Oh, sure. The R's are over enunciated for Wisconsinites. We're extremely white here, so we it's very hard R's. It's not just R, it's R. We're almost pirates. But that's their only argument they have is the guilt. You're just trying to kill my grandmother. Like, that's all it is. And they don't have any logic because you go, okay, but statistically, how likely is that? Well, but it could happen. Okay, well, yeah, and your grandmother could die in the shower. In fact, she's far more likely to die in her own shower than she ever is to die from COVID. And still, and like I had somebody just the other day where I said something about, well, I don't really care if people walk into my store with a mask on or not. Like I have to officially have like a sign up because of the governor's order, and I can't do business and will get shut down by police if I don't do it. But fine, whatever. I don't care. I'll throw the sign up, but it's not like I'm going to make anybody leave if they walk in without a mask. Not my problem. Whatever. I had somebody saying, well, I don't know why you would just deal with that. I mean, it's so much worse than I think you realize. And I was like, I literally just got over COVID. I had it. I just got over it. Have you had COVID? Well, no. Okay. So what you're telling me is that you actually have no idea, whereas I do, and this is my attitude. So what should that tell you? Like, yeah, it's pretty bad. It sucks to have. But you know what sucks worse? Influenza A sucked worse for longer than COVID. Now, I'm not entirely over it yet and things, and that the lingering stuff is what really, really sucks. But for the most part, like, I could still get hit by a bus tomorrow for all I know. I could die falling down the stairs. I'm more likely to die right now getting in my vehicle and moving it to this side of the street or to the other side of the street so it's on the proper side for alternate side parking. I am more likely to die doing that than I am from COVID. And then you want to destroy people's livelihoods aggressively over, well, but people might cough a lot.
Yeah. Going back to the article, Jay Polis, the governor, Quote, every business in Colorado has to follow our laws. This is not political. This is because we care about our community.
We're doing this for your own good. It's because we
Yes.
care. You are being rescued. Do not attempt to resist.
Let's see, and then Caldwell, this is one of the people that the businesses said Caldwell said he had no intention of closing down and said he would take this battle as far as necessary to protect his employees, business, and fellow entrepreneurs. Quote, I will not let my staff go hungry or without a roof over their head for Christmas. They have a right to survive. I'm here to say, don't tread on me. I'm going to survive. My people will prosper. Our community will grow stronger. And this will happen because we all have a portion to do.
Yeah, see, and he likes to say, don't tread on me, but then all he's doing is rattling his tail. There are no fangs there.
There's no fangs, no.
No
But,
fangs,
yeah.
because he's just going to court. That's if you're going to court while saying don't tread on me, what you're saying is, or I'll just rattle louder.
Yeah.
You're not there's no fangs. There's no reason to be scared.
Yeah. I waved my flag.
Yeah, I mean, there's a snake that is a false rattlesnake. It has a tail that looks vaguely like it might be a rattle, and it will shake it, but it's a constrictor. It's completely harmless. You can pick it up, and even if it bites you, at most you might get an infection if you don't clean it. It's not that big a deal. But it pretends that is what these people are. Like, they're not a rattlesnake. They're that thing where they're going to wave their tail a bunch, but it isn't even actually rattling. They just kind of look like they might be a rattlesnake, but when push comes to shove, you can eat them. It's absurd. And it's disappointing because there's a time in this country where maybe, that wasn't the case, where people actually stood up, where veterans got together and arrested at gunpoint the sheriff for trying to take a war widow's house. Like, there was a time when those things happened. There was a time when people got into a gunfight at a county jail over voter fraud. Like,
yeah.
There was a time where this shit happened.
Yeah, a gopher snake will often hiss and vibrate its tail when agitated. This aggressive behavior and tail rattling mimics the rattlesnake. So.
Gopher snake, that's what it is. Yeah. It's just a constrictor. It's totally harmless. It can't actually hurt you. But it pretends real hard.
Yeah. Speaking of that, January 20th, there's another protest.
That's a segue. That is a segue.
I don't have an article for that. I don't have an article for that, but
damn it. I'm gonna shake my tail real hard and look super scary.
You have that protest every year. Just saying.
Yeah. It's like, but I can pick you up. That you're not scary. But I'm gonna look real intimidating. But you're, again, harmless, and I know you are. So, like, it's like that snake that does this super melodramatic, like, old, like, John Wayne movie death scene when it's cornered, where it rolls on its back and just rides around and is just like doing this super, like, tell my mother I love her.
Over dramatic possum.
Yeah, and it does that, and you're just like, are you serious right now? Like, really? They're one step away from that, where they're just like gonna be dramatically going, oh, we're done. We're so done for. And you're like, okay, all right. Well, that sucks. You're not paying attention. I'm dying. I'm dying right now. It's happening.
Tis but to scratch.
Well, see, that's us though. Tis but a scratch. Your arm's off. No, it isn't.
All right, I got another article I want to move on to. This one, if you had canceled, I was going to read this article. So I'm glad you're here. So I need to calm down because the headline and the context, it gets me up. So this is out of Montana, man, out of central Montana. So,
well, Montana, like Colorado, I look at them and I go, oh, how far hast thou fallen?
There's a little pushback. There's some pushback, but this is out of the Montana Daily Gazette. Secret emails show Montana health official threatening to quit because she can't have unlimited power.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
She pushed her limits. And Brandenburg v. Ohio, some stuff. Yeah. In emails released by the Montana Daily Gazette, an overbearing and intrusive health officer from the Central Montana Health District is threatening to resign because law enforcement won't support her attempt to violate the liberty of citizens. The Montana Daily Gazette first covered Megan Spry's reign of terror over the Central Montana Health District on October 29th. The story was horrific. Spry acted as a newly appointed despot, irrespective of anyone's constitutional liberty, to harass innocent citizens who weren't complying with Governor Bullock's various illegal mandates. The story got worse from there. Heather Josephs and her husband, Ross Huck, decided to post a message on their business's Facebook page, alerting the public that Huck would not be wearing a mask at his place of business, which is a small engine repair shop. However, Huck explained that he worked alone, and if people didn't want to venture into the building due to COVID-19 concerns, they could leave their machinery outside and make a payment later. Soon, Megan Spry saw the Facebook post and considered it a personal offense to her unregulated power. That's where the trouble began. Spry, the registered sanitarian in Lewiston, contacted Huck via voicemail and left threatening messages and promised she had the power to shut down his business. With much wisdom, Huck and Joseph contacted the local sheriff, who explained that Spry is not law enforcement as she claims. A complaint was filed that Spry was impersonating a police officer and stepping while outside the bounds of her authority. When it became clear that Spry did not have the support of law enforcement to go around threatening citizens, Child Protective Services, under the auspiciousness of the Montana Department of Health and Human Services, visited Joseph Huck's household to harass the minor children on the grounds that he is educated at home. Observers of the situation believe that Spry recruited her colleagues at the DPHHS to intimidate the family out of anger that the sheriff would not support her bullying.
So help me, if anyone were to ever call CPS
Brandenburg v. Ohio,
because I was going, I don't agree with this, there would be horrible things that would occur as a direct result of that. Horrible, unspeakable things. Like, I would TP their homes. I may potentially write a very vulgarly worded letter of reprimand. Brandenburg v. Ohio.
Mayonnaise under the door jams of the car.
Yeah, it's or KY, just KY.
Ooh, KY,
on
yeah.
the doors, so it's real gooey. Yeah, I might do things like that.
Icy hot. That's a good one. Icy
yes,
hot.
I will go to their gym. I will sneak in and I will put icy hot in underwear. Don't tempt me. It will be a prank war like you have never seen. That's what I'm telling you. That's what'll happen for sure.
I got a story. I'll tell you after the show. I can't put that one out there.
But yeah,
statute of limitations is up on that story, but I'm not going to put it out on the air.
Are they 100% certain that this chick is in fact a woman and is not Don Knotts as Barney Fife in disguise? Because that's kind of what she sounds like right now.
It gets better.
Oh, oh, Barney, I need you to give me your bullet.
As reported previously, Spy is responsible for what might be the worst, most intellectually vapid claim made to date in Montana regarding Governor Bullock's mask mandates. Spry told ABC News that, quote, anybody that is not in compliance with that directive is in violation of the law, essentially because they are in violation of a direct order. So that's what makes the mandate a law. That makes it enforceable by law enforcement.
What?
I'm going to read that word soup again. Hold on. Quote, anybody that is not in compliance with that directive is in violation of the law, essentially because they are in violation of a direct order. So that's what makes the mandate a law. That makes it enforceable by law enforcement.
I'm noticing a shape to this routine. It's not so much a square or triangle, a little more like round, like a circle. Maybe you might call it a circular. I, I just what
Yeah.
it's I.
It
Oh,
it
you
gets
gotta
better.
have bypasses, otherwise you wouldn't have anything to bypass, would you? You gotta have bypasses. It's just what?
Andrew, it gets better. Okay. Not only is a registered sanitarian not law enforcement, but a direct order is not a law. Laws are passed by legislation or by ballot initiatives, not decreed by an officer in the executive branch of government. Right? No shit. Well, it seems that Spry was just about had enough of not wielding unconditional power and total authoritarianism. Emails released to the Montana Daily Gazette show Spry insisted that the sheriff or incest that the sheriff will not follow the orders of an unelected mid-level bureaucrat. Spry claimed that there is, quote, a felony intimidation case going to court because one of, quote, her licensed businesses threatened her after she explained they were, quote, under emergency laws right now.
Is I'm gonna I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
hold
want
on.
to make assumptions, but I'm gonna guess that her haircut, we all know. We're all gonna know what kind of a haircut this person has. We all know. You know what it is. You
No,
know
it's
it's gonna
not.
be blonde.
It's really not. It's really
I
not.
am truly shocked, legitimately shocked that it is not the Karen haircut.
Nope.
I am very, very surprised. It's I You know what? For that photo, she took her cat eye glasses off. I'm gonna go ahead and make a guess. Um,
Let's see. It is unknown to what Spry refers to, although sources in Lewiston claim that there is no such felony intimidation case going to court. In fact, the only one that may be charged for a crime for felony intimidation is Megan Spry, with the evidence of
saves
her
her.
harassing phone calls to taxpayers. In frustration, Spry writes, quote, the problem we are facing is that our sheriff will not, in OT in capital letters, assist with anything COVID related. And our CA is well aware, so we can't issue a cease and desist, and I can't do a standard inspection because I've been told by the business owner to, quote, watch my back.
It's at this point. So, all right, I'm no lawyer. I do, however, watch a lot of Legal Eagle.
I stayed at a Holiday Express once.
Yeah, no, it's if you haven't watched Legal Eagle, I highly recommend it to everybody who might have an interest in just the absurdity of the law, because it's an actual attorney. He's a teaching attorney at a major law firm in the DC area, and he formerly a attorney at a big law firm in New York City. He does like videos on, some of them are fun, like he does videos on movies and how many actual laws were violated over the course of these films and stuff, and is one on Batman, the second Chris Nolan Batman movie. Hilarious. Cool magic trick, also felony murder. But he does a lot of like stuff on like real legal cases and everything else, and he talks about it. He also laughs hysterically about the Chewbacca defense. He's fun. Anyway, I watch a lot of him, and he goes into these laws and stuff. And what I'm seeing, based on things that he's said here, is it is any attorney who picks up for this business a intimidation by a government official, unlawful intimidation by a government official case, which is an actual law in most states. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Oklahoma. It's a slam dunk case at this point. It's super easy. It's there's not really a whole lot that needs to be done there. And it is because she's pretending to be law enforcement. She's pretending to have powers that she doesn't have. Mm-hmm. Police are allowed to lie to you, but not regular government officials.
Unelected bureaucrat, also, by the way.
Yeah, she's also she's potentially committing slander if she's saying that they threatened her and they didn't. Also, if she's saying that they're being charged with a crime and they're not, that's slander, libel, that probably fits the definition. If I were these businesses, I'd be retaining attorneys and slapping her with every possible lawsuit I could and suing her into the ground, not even because I expect her to not be what's called judgment proof, meaning you don't have enough of anything for a judge to take from you to pay. That's called being judgment proof. So when you're super poor, you're judgment proof. No one can sue you because you don't have anything for them to take. But even though it probably is, just to watch her head explode in court would be all the payment I would need. Because she would lose it. She would probably enter the well, be attacked by a bailiff, tased, and it would be so glorious. I would need to film it and watch it over and over. Like any day I was sad, I'd be like, hey, play.
All right. From her email, I'm reading the screenshot of her email. It says, quote, I am on the verge of quitting because we do not get assistance and cases are rising because of it. I get daily calls from the public telling me how horrible of a person I am because I can't control every single business in a 6-county radius. How do we even respond to this? Because as a human being, we should not be the person that people are calling names and personally attacking.
What else would we call names and personally attack?
I mean,
because I feel like that would be ineffective.
I mean, when you're threatening to close down businesses and calling fucking CPS on people because they don't want to go by your bullshit edicts in central Montana, which I actually looked up the COVID numbers for these counties, and all but one county is in single digits COVID cases.
Are you kidding me? There are. No. That's a county with the equivalent number of cases of a city block here in La Crosse. First of all,
yeah, I have 1.1 just over 1.1 million people in my county. We have under 25,000 cases and like 226 deaths or something like that.
You know what's funny about that is your the total number of cases that you have is actually smaller than La Crosse County because we have all hit this point that we so don't give a shit anymore that everyone's just going out doing their regular business and getting it and then getting over it. So like we're like setting records every single day for the United States for number of infections, not number of deaths. Oh no, but number of infections. We're damn high. But again, as someone who got it here in La Crosse, in Wisconsin, let me assure you, you move on with your life. And the first time I could taste Skittles again was a glorious, glorious moment for me. But like the fact that she's that kind of person, right, that has just completely lost her mind because how dare you not respect my Authoritah?
She definitely has some Cartman in her.
Yeah, the fact that she is like that should say something to an awful lot of people. And if there's ever a person that you need to encourage to maybe just not have anything to do with government or, I don't know, your community or town or city, state, region, country at all, that is the kind of person. And yet, this is the kind of person who becomes an unelected bureaucrat, people, right here. That person. That is the kind of person attracted to those jobs. The kind of person that wants to
registered everyone. Yeah, registered sanitarian.
Sanitarian.
Yes.
That
really sounds that really sounds like a glorious version of a janitor to me.
Doesn't that sound like a political party revolving around germophobia? I'm just saying. I'm a registered sanitarian. Although in the era of COVID, we're probably not far off from that. There's going to be a sanitarian party. Or at least we can be sure a libertarian sanitarian caucus, because the Libertarian Party is a giant fucking dumpster fire.
Let's see. To become a licensed RS, that is a registered sanitarian in Montana, you must have a bachelor's degree in environmental health or an equivalent degree, including specific course requirements, and you must pass a national exam with a 68% score or better.
So they actually are a janitor.
Yeah, kind of.
That's the environmental health positions in most hospitals are like head janitors.
Well, okay, environmental health is a branch of public health that focuses on the relationships between people and the environment, promotes human health and well-being, fosters healthy and safe communities. That really
Right. Again, we have a whole bunch of hospitals here in town because I don't know, we just do. Rochester, Minnesota is just 20 minutes, half hour away. That's where Mayo. Well, it's more like an hour, I guess, but it's where Mayo Clinic, the famous world famous Mayo Clinic, is headquartered, and their second most major branch is here in town. We have a lot of hospitals here, and I see their job postings all the time, and they're always saying like sanitarian, and they're in like environmental health specialist. And when you read the job description, it's like, oh, you make the policies for janitors. Like that's your job, is to make the policy. You're just like super janitor. That's what you are. So like,
maybe she needs a belt. That's what she just needs a belt that says like janitor champion or champion janitor janitor.
Her symbol on her lycra suit will be like a spray bottle and a thing of Purell, like
crossed plunger and toilet brush.
Yeah, I'm the sanitarian, which is also very close to
her theme music is just the sound of a toilet flushing.
Did you remember to wash your hands? Away! Da, 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 da.
Well, I mean, this is central Montana of all places that this happens. It's central Montana, which a lot of the counties have like the entire county is like 2,000 people, 2,500 people.
It's the size of a neighborhood in most cities.
Yeah, like these are rural, independent people, and you're coming in going, oh no, you have to wear a mask while you work in your business alone.
And not only, well, and not only that, but you're going like freaking out when people are like, no, bite me.
Threatening to quit because they said no.
Yeah. How dare you not? Oh, you know what she is? She's Trigglypuff. She's Trigglypuff with power, where she's get your hate me. That's what she is. She's a Trigglypuff.
Oh God! Somehow, I wish I had video editing and I would put Trigglypuff right here.
Yeah. Then get your mask on when you're working alone in your business.
Oh goodness!
The flapping arm fat and cat eye glasses, purple faux hawk. I mean, God. But that's essentially. I mean, and that's the thing is that you see these people do things like this, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, you're nuts!" And what they fail to understand is all of these unelected bureaucrat offices, all of these government offices. This is what that attracts.
Well, not only is this what it attracts, but these are the people that truly control your life, right? Yeah. The ATF, nobody is ever elected to the ATF. The DEA, the FBI, the CIA, nobody is elected to those positions.
Nope. Even the directors get chosen, not elected, chosen.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're the ones who are altering world politics. They're the ones who are assassinating foreign dignitaries. They're the ones who are deciding what you can and can't bring into this country, what property you're allowed to own, what property you're allowed to use, how you're allowed to run a business, where you're allowed to run a business, where you're allowed to live, what kinds of things you're allowed to farm. It's all of the people that you get no say whatsoever in them. Because look, well, I was bringing up Barney Fife and the fact that she's basically Barney Fife in drag and not even convincing drag. If you look at Andy Griffith and Barney Fife, right? Andy is elected. He's a sheriff, right? He is elected, and he's a reasonable, friendly person who frequently goes, well, you're not hurting anybody. I don't really care. Whatever. And only deals with the serious things. And then You have
Oh
farm
shit. Okay, sorry. I hate to interrupt. I really do, but I went back. I'm looking at the website, and a different county. This is on the northwest corner of the state, which is Flathead County in Montana. The health official resigned because she wasn't given dictatorial powers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because these people have sat for years in these positions. Years.
In a letter dated November 27th, Robinson scolded the county commissioners and the Board of Health, and those appointed the commissioners to support, quote, even the most basic recommendations regarding mask usage, along with any type of recommended group meeting restrictions, has not only increased public health, but it has demonstrated a clear lack of support of the county health department. So she complained because the county and the people were like, no. The lack of support has undermined morale with the health office personnel, leading to numerous resignations. As a result, my department has been continuously understaffed in key positions, which makes it difficult to respond in a timely manner and mitigate the rising rapid COVID-19 numbers in our community.
All I can think of is Willy Wonka. No, don't, please, stop, don't go. Oh no.
Oh no, I'm so sad.
Oh no. Oh, little girl, stop. Don't.
She actually does look like a Karen though.
Oh my god, that chick is a Karen and a fucking half.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. She is one mom bob short of like the penultimate Karen. Like that that chick's got, I'm going to need to speak with the manager all over her. I mean, but that's
Tamale, Tamalee. Tamalee?
Tamalee?
Tamalee.
I think that's Tamalee.
Tamalee St. James Robinson.
Oh my god, that is the Karenest name I've ever heard. Like
that is definitely high on the Karen list.
Oh Jesus. When you have the not a St. James and hyphenated?
No hyphen.
Oh, there's no hyphen. Oh, she just has the two last names. Second one wasn't even good enough to be hyphenated too. Okay. Yep. All right. I see what she's saying. I'm picking up what she's throwing down. I get it.
It's Tamalee St. period James Robinson.
Yep. That's my name's Tamalee St. James Robinson, and I am here to speak to your manager. Oh Jesus Christ.
We're throwing ad hominems out there, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the people, though. This is the kind of people that power like this, being an unelected bureaucrat, attracts. And the moment that they realize that they don't have the supreme power, they are not fucking Catherine the Great, right?
There's no cake.
Yeah. What? No. Yeah, wrong country. It's
okay.
Other side of Europe.
Other side of Europe. Okay.
That was France. We're going to Russia here. Yeah, it's in the
okay.
Great. The not the Tsar, Peter II, who was her husband, the one prior to that, Elizabeth, who was also an absolute unquestioned ruler and terrifying to everyone universally. I mean, terrifying. So, like, they're not them. And the moment they realize I am not magically now a Tsarina, they freak out.
Yes.
And the funnier that is to you, the more flagrantly you disregard them, because you know they don't have power. The more infuriated they become, the more like, I'm going to just destroy everything. I actually once, back when I worked at Walmart, I had some lady, and I don't remember exactly what the conversation was, but I do remember, because it was years and years. I mean, I was, fresh out of high school. It was years and years and years ago. And it was only a part-time job while I was home on leave. But I do remember this lady like saying something or demanding something and me telling her like, no, that's not going to happen. And her freaking out on me.
Yep.
And me basically just saying, I mean, you can yell and scream all you want, but that's not going to change reality. And her going, I will destroy you for life, like screaming at me. And I'm like, okay, all right, lady, okay, all right, crazy person. You do. And she like freaked out and looked like she was going to attack me. This kind of person we all generally regard in normal day-to-day life as mentally unstable and dangerous, right? A possible danger to themselves and especially others.
Yeah, these are minor league Nancy Pelosi's.
Yeah, and yet these are exactly the kind of people you are asking to have dictate your life. When you say, I need some sort of a government agency, I need a government office, these are the people you're asking for, because those are the only kinds of people who ever want to go work in those positions. And fun fact, while we're on the subject, by the way, because I work in the short-term lending industry, do you know the least likely person to ever pay you back for a small loan?
Government
People
official.
who work for government.
Yeah.
If they work for government, there is a guarantee. I would bet $100 that not a single person who works for government has ever paid a short-term loan back in the history of short-term loans.
I can't argue against that because I know some local politicians, and yeah,
You never do. When I've trained people in, I've had to warn them, hey, just so that you know, minimize how much you loan people who have city of, county of, state of in their employer, or it's, so and so, whatever county, or what, or it's whatever sheriff's department or police department or anything like that, because you want to be as small as possible to minimize your bad debt, because I guarantee you with 100% certainty they will never pay you back.
No, because good people don't want to tell other people what to do.
Yeah, because the only kind of person who ever actually wants to work for government is the kind of person you do not want to have in charge of anyone else.
No. Not the best of segues, but we got another one. This is I'm gonna wait for you to finish drinking before I say it. But this one is from Great Britain. Britons who test negative for COVID twice in a week are set to receive a freedom pass under a government scheme that will allow people to live normal lives.
I do not think that word means what you think it means. This is the second time I've had to use this.
Yes. Britons who are given COVID freedom passes as long as they test negative for the virus twice in a week, it has been suggested. The details of the scheme are being ironed out by officials in Whitehall, who hope it will allow the country to get back to normal next year. To earn the freedom
just means plan. If anyone's confused, scheme is what we would call plan in the United States.
Yeah,
is scheme in England and Ireland.
Yeah. To earn the freedom pass, people will need to be tested regularly and provide the results. And provided the results come back negative, they will be given a letter, card, or document they can show to people as they move around.
The sad thing is, I actually got one of the when it looked like our governor, Tony the Tyrant. Tyranny, it's great. When Tony the Tyrant was looking like he was going to restrict all travel, I actually got a letter from my company that said this person bearing this letter, their name, is an essential worker. Do not interfere with their ability to go about their day if they're doing something for the business because they're an essential worker. So this is exactly that kind of thing right there.
Just it gets a little
more British,
more dystopian than that. Yeah,
more British. Yes,
there's some 1984 in here for sure. The certificate the certificate will be stored on a phone, according to the sources, and would allow people to live a relatively normal life until the government's vaccination program gets up to speed. It would even allow Britons to get away without wearing a mask, it is thought, and visit family and friends without the need to socially distance. A source told the Telegraph, quote, They will allow someone to wander down the street, and if someone else asks why they're not wearing the mask, they can show them the card, letter, or the app. It comes after former Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt threw his backing behind the Freedom Pass concept. His proposal suggests far less testing, however, which calls for Britons to be tested just once a month before given their certificates.
Anyone else, because this is Britain, hearing we have to remind everyone why they need us.
The former health secretary has called on ministers to come up with a, quote, proper incentive for people to get tested, self-isolate, and receive a vaccine.
Yes.
His suggestions follow recommendations by behavioral experts advising Downing Street, who said those not infected with the virus should be handed paper wristbands to allow them to return to a more normal life.
Relax, comrade. You have been given the important pass from the fear so that you can go about your pitiful little life. This is good, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe they should give them something. Maybe they need to give them something that's like easily visible, like something that they could wear on the collar. Some sort of like insignia or something, that they can be like.
Yeah, or like on their chest.
Yeah.
Like a big, brightly colored. You know what color is really bright is yellow.
Yeah.
You could use maybe some sort of yellow thing on their chest, or a big like bright red armband.
There you go.
It's people who have government permission to go places. You could use a bright red armband, and you know what colors work really well contrast wise with bright red is white and black. So just something on the upper left arm, maybe in red with some white and black to it, like a circle in white and some sort of a design in black.
There you go.
It's easily recognizable, like something like that, that I think would work.
Yeah. The Behavioral Insights Team, also known as the Nudge Unit, also suggests lotteries at testing centers and paying for people's travels if they go to get tested.
So in contrast to Britain, because remember, Britain, this is important as far as paying people's travels and things. Remember, Britain has a national health service, the NHS, right? So they are a socialized single-payer healthcare system. It's garbage, but they are. Okay? This is important to know. In contrast to that, in the United States, there are hospitals, including one locally here, who went, hey, lots of people, they want to go get tested for COVID because they're concerned about it. You know what we could do is we could buy a disused warehouse, cut holes in it, throw in doors, driving lanes, have a drive-up testing facility, simply accept cash for payment, and then have an app that you can log into and get your test results. And I bet that would be easy, and people would want to come to us versus competing hospitals because it's so much easier. They can drive through, they can pre-schedule a time, a general time when they're allowed to check in. They pull in. While they're waiting in line, we go down the line of cars, we check them in. They drive up, they get their brains stabbed. Because that is what that feels like. If you haven't been tested for COVID, it feels like your brain is being stabbed. It goes so far back into your head. Because the thing is like this long. And it goes way back through. It goes through your nostril, through your sinuses to the very, very back where your sinuses turn down into your throat. That is where they swipe. So it is actually millimeters from your brain, just to point. And that is what your brain pan is what it's called. It's that membrane right at the bottom. So they swipe that. So it will not make your nose bleed. but it will make you cry immediately. And it just hurts in general. And you're like, ugh. So you know the look on their faces that like babies get when you use the disgusting little snot suckers
The snot
on
sucker.
them?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you know that look that they get on their face when that happens as you're sucking the snot out of their head? That is the
What the
look you will
fuck?
get. Yeah, that weird like ugh. That is the look that you will get on your face as they do that. But here in the US, we have competing hospitals. We have not nearly what I would call a free market, but we have a freer market than the NHS. So in the US, companies set these up, and then you get a drive-through test, you get tested, you move on with your day, and everything's good. In Britain, because it is the most subtly authoritarian country in the Western world, you get, oh, I bet if we were willing to pay people to go get tested, they'd just go ahead and obey everything we said. And the Brits are like, oi, pip, pip. And then they go do that. They're kind of like Australians. They're just obedient as shit.
Yeah, it's that's where we're headed. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that Cuomo's on, and a lot of the Northeast, the blue buds of that area, they're all fucking red. They're all redcoats in disguise.
We're only, I mean, Britain just has a couple hundred years on us, a few hundred years on us, as far as the hyper authoritarianism, really. And that's all that separates us, is they're just a little further ahead in history than we are.
U.S. is catching up fast, though.
Yeah, we're making up for lost time, man. Tell you what, we started doing that under GW. We accelerated under Obama. We continued that downward slide under Trump. And I'm pretty sure that a trap door is going to be pulled under Biden.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, it'll be a good time eventually, Brandenburg.
Yes. All right. Let's get on this last article. There's no cool segue.
Yeah, whatever.
Officers evict people occupying state-owned homes in Los Angeles.
State-owned homes.
State-owned homes. Like neither Andrew or I are of the housing is a right coalition sort of belief, but I wanted to bring this one up because state-owned homes. And it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. Like these weren't occupied homes or rentable homes or anything like that.
Rent is theft.
Yeah. Yeah. California Highway Patrol contended with protesters on Thanksgiving Eve as officers forcefully removed people who had taken over vacant state-owned homes in Los Angeles neighborhood. The group Reclaim and Rebuild Our Community said 20 families occupied 20 houses in El Sereno on Wednesday, and that the so-called, quote, reclaimers included families with infants who had previously been living in cars and encampments. Around 100 CHP officers who had assembled nearby to remove the occupants were met by activists who lined up to try to prevent law officers from driving away with their members. The California Department of Transportation, or Caltrans, owns 163 vacant dwelling units in eastern Los Angeles County, according to the Southern California News Group. The properties mostly include single-family homes were obtained by the state decades ago for use in a since-abandoned plan to expand a freeway. Matt Rocco is
Isn't it ironic that the same people who the rent is theft crowd and people who are landlords are thieves and tyrants crowd support, those same people have over 100 vacant homes that they are using armed men to kick people out of.
Yes. And these homes, let's see, open up the other article, but these homes have since like they were bought in like the 70s or something like that. After 3 months of investigation, the group determined that a portion of the 467 Caltrans bought in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s to make room for an extension on the 17 freeway ultimately got nixed a couple of years ago. So the official program, or the official plan to expand the freeway was actually 2013 was when they officially nixed the program. So these houses have been sitting empty since the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and the program was officially nixed in 2013. So for 40, 50, 60 years, these houses sat empty with the expectation of them being demolished to make room for this freeway. But that program was officially nixed 7 years ago.
I'm not in favor of the it's unused property, so squatters' rights kind of thing, right? No, if I own property, it's mine.
Yes.
But when government owns property.
Yes, I agree completely.
When it's theirs, then it's everyone's, right?
Yeah.
Which means if it's just sitting there unused for 50 years, half a century, all right?
Yes.
The cars got 7 miles per gallon when these houses were taken. Okay, television was in black and white
when they were bought using eminent domain. By the way, bought.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they were stolen. Okay.
Yes.
Ed Sullivan was having really great shoes when these houses were taken. At this point, I don't think government can claim ownership to them anymore.
Yes. Matt Rocco, a spokesman for Caltrans, said the agency requested the CHP, quote, to remove trespassers so the properties can be resecured and boarded up because they are unsafe and uninhabitable for occupants.
People were literally living in them
50 years ago.
Yeah, but right now, people were.
But it's safer. It's safer to live in a shelter or in your car than to live in this quote uninhabitable home.
I just want to point out if a human being is habitating in a home, that home is habitable.
Yes. Videos posted on social media showed officers using battering rams to knock down doors of the houses and carrying people out in the yard where one person appeared to be hogtied. Social media posts from activists said the removals continued on Thursday afternoon. Quote, I am disturbed, distraught, and even shaken watching a video of a 17-year-old child being hogtied the night before Thanksgiving for nothing more than being homeless. That is tweeted by Sasha Renee Perez, mayor-elect of Alhambra, a nearby small city.
Do we have any photos of the inside of these houses?
There's none in this article, but I'm sure if you looked them up, you'd be able to find them.
Yeah, because I have a feeling at this point they're probably fairly well appointed and probably repaired and not like homeless squatting in an abandoned homes. I have a feeling they've been living there long enough. It's probably like just homes.
I mean, it's
at this point.
Whatever the condition, it's got to be better than, I don't know, being homeless.
Yeah,
or living in your car.
I've been homeless 3 times in 3 different states, and I gotta say that in all 3 instances, if I could find an abandoned house that had like a floor and a door I could close and like windows that were intact, so like wind wasn't whipping in and things, and it was a little warmer, man, I would have traded that for anything because that would be preferable. Yeah.
And then what you mentioned earlier, activists occupying the Caltrans-owned dwellings said they wanted Governor Gavin Newsom to intervene and allow homeless families to stay at the houses to comply with the state and city directive to stay at home during the pandemic. Newsom's office did not respond to the request for comment.
This is our home, and now you're kicking us out of a house and sending us onto the street, which means you are saying you have to stay home and simultaneously kicking me out of my home.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's government right there. That is government.
It's very much government. And you know, guys, I'm a big fan of the whole I don't remember who said it, but there was like this essay about homesteading City Hall. Like, because City Hall is government property. The government has no right to own property. I mean, even per the Constitution, the federal government can only own, what is it, ports and 10 square miles, which is the capital area. But yet they own millions and millions and millions of acres.
They are the single largest property owner in the United States.
Yes. So, and it's the same with the state. You know, the state has no right to own these buildings. These buildings were purchased, or sorry, not purchased. They were stolen via eminent domain, paid the smallest amount possible on tax dollars. So, and they sat empty for 50, 60 plus years. And some people move into them because, I don't know, it's better than living in a fucking car. And the state calls in 100 CHP officers, which is California Highway Patrol for those not in the know.
Called and they are the dickest of dicks.
Oh, they are the
state of California for law enforcement.
They are the dickest of dicks. They are all fucking Karens.
Oh yeah, I mean, and think about this, and like that's what I really want to stress is that these people have probably been living here for quite some time, right? Mm-hmm. And they might not be making a large amount of money, but they're making some, right? And they live in these buildings that exist. That I'm sure that they are trying to make them more habitable, which means that they are preserving windows, they are preserving doors, possibly replacing doors, they are putting carpet in, they are repairing them, they are probably hooking them up
to generators. Similar to what happened in Detroit.
Yeah, they are making these habitable dwellings, maintaining them as reasonably habitable dwellings, but because the state simply has decided, no, these are ours, and we have declared them not habitable, you need to go. They're getting ripped out of homes that for potentially years.
Yeah.
They have lived in. Because think about it, if you're an average person and you drive past a neighborhood of 30 houses, and there's people living in them.
163 houses in this neighborhood.
Yeah, 163 total. And you're driving through here and there's people living in them, lawns, and there's maybe cars in the driveway, and they're painted, and are you going to go, oh, these people are all squatters living in abandoned homes? No, you're going to just be like, oh, this is another neighborhood. And so chances are good.
It's funny because like the average Joe down in Southern California, like you see videos of homeless living in tents on sidewalks, right? And people complain about having to walk out in the street to get around the tents and this and that and that and this. And these empty homes exist, and some people move into them, and the government goes, "Oh no, we can't have that."
Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you that what is going to happen, because the project has been completely shut down, is they board them up, leave them abandoned.
Yep.
And in 5 years, a bunch of new homeless people have simply moved back into them.
Yep.
And nothing has ever been done there.
No, they can't. I mean, there's nothing that the government can really do about it. It's. I mean, none of these houses are really. I mean, these houses were bought 50s, 60s, 70s, right? So they're potentially 70 years old at least at this point, right? Some of these houses might be 100 years old, and they were purchased by the state 70 years old. So they're not going to sell them. So what are the options that the state's going to do? The state has to tear them down.
Yeah, at best, what they're going to do is tear them down. Yeah, at best, what they're going to do is, and especially considering these houses have all been lived in by people, they've probably, again, all been improved. They're all fairly livable. They probably don't look very different than homes that you or I would live in. No. So
I've probably lived in worse homes.
I know I have. They have power. They have running water, I'm sure. They're not terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just going, well, whatever, these people are being kicked out of the streets. Again, right? They probably have kids. If they have younger kids, if they've been living there for 5 years and they have a 3-year-old child, that child has always lived in a home and suddenly is homeless. They've created more homeless people than they had before. Suddenly, right? Suddenly, they have more homeless people. They have people who maybe were even living a halfway decent life that now are going to have to live out of vehicles. They're going to have to live out of tents. They're going to be stuck underneath the overpasses.
Which in some places in Southern California is actually illegal. Like San Diego has laws regarding people living in their vehicles. So
you know what's funny is when I had exactly the entire time I was homeless, I had one cop show up and give me a hard time. He's like, well, you can be fined. And I was like, really? What are you going to take?
Because that's totally going to help your situation.
Again, that goes back to that judgment proof thing I mentioned earlier. Like, I'm judgment proof, man. What are you going to take? I literally have nothing.
What are you going to do? You throw me in a cage? Give me a hot shower? Give me 3 meals a day?
Yeah. And that's what I said to him. I said, oh, and he was like, I could arrest you. I'm like, oh, are you threatening with giving me a roof over my head, warmth, and 3 square meals a day with a shower? Is that your threat right now? And he stared at me, and I could see the change on his head in his eyes as it dawned on him that you can literally do nothing to me. I mean, there's nothing you have to. I have nothing.
Yep.
What are you going to threaten me with? I have nothing. And essentially, the one and only thing that these people had, these homes that they were in, that were our state-owned homes, which means by definition under the U.S., right, the we the people state of government we're supposed to have.
These people own these homes.
Yeah, it belongs to everyone, right?
Yeah,
and so they're living there.
I give them my permission to stay in those homes.
As do I. As does, I'm sure, thousands and thousands of other people. Yeah. They all give them permission to stay there. But again, this is that reminder that when they say, oh, government is of the people, by the people, for the people, what they mean is government is of government, by government, for government.
Yep. The state.
The people.
Yep. The state housing guy that was quoted in the article, I don't believe he's elected, but none of the 100 officers were. None of the social workers that were there were elected. So
exactly. Don't sit there and think that government is ever of the people. The government can ever be by the people. The government is ever for the people. Just because you say a lie over and over and over again does not magically make that a truth. And this is a fucking demonstration.
You can believe you can fly all day long, but flapping your arms ain't going to get you off the ground.
Yeah, you can tell people that you have the largest penis in the world endlessly. But the moment that you decide to send your dick pic to that cam girl, she will know that is not true, regardless of how many times you said it.
Oh yeah, there's some Facebook posts about that recently. I've seen a lot of that, but
yeah.
All right, let's throw some plugs out there. We're running out of time.
All right, if you want a lovely and well-conditioned and well-cared for beard, such as I have, that is getting way too long, and I need a professional trim because it's super healthy, so the hair is getting very long and very wonderful. You will go to thebeardstruggle.com. That is thebeardstruggle.com, and you will use code InkedAnarchist15 and get yourself 15% off of those products. They're fabulous beard products. I use them every day, and they are awesome, and they smell amazing, and they make your beard very pettable. And if there's one thing you want if you have a beard, it's for the ladies to want to pet it, and they only want to do that if it's nice and soft and wonderful. And you want that. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah. Yes, that is direct link that is in the description. As well as we got to push our girl Derica's book, Critical Thinking Workbook for Beginners.
Think for yourself.
I was close.
A critical thinking workbook for beginners.
Yes, that is available on Amazon. Yes, it is a workbook. So don't expect a fucking novel on critical thinking.
It has spaces to work.
Yes, check out the homies at Poppins Patches. PoppinsPatches.com. You can also find the Facebook page. It will also be linked in the description below. And pick yourself up some Eddie and Eddie Boogaloo Boy patches. Just saying, you know.
Yeah, some Boogaloo
Sharks.
Patches. He's got This Is the Way, right?
And the wood chipper patch.
The wood chipper. Everybody who got the Joe Jorgensen, the
Lady Liberty
Libertarian, patches. That was him. He's very, very good. He's a good graphic designer. He's got some great patches, very, very high quality, and they're awesome. And he supports this channel and this podcast.
Yes. And also check out Nick Irwin's Beyond the Ballot. I recorded with him this morning. That was a really fast hour of conversation, and we covered a whole bunch of stuff. So go listen to that one. And I don't got anything else. You got anything else?
Also check out the Status Quo.
Yes, statusquo.net. That is the Status Quo podcast. Matt Freeman does a fantastic job with that one.
He does a lot of history, which I really, really like. I've been on one episode with him so far. I assist him very lightly with another one, but when he wanted to do his Irish Civil War history, I was told I'm loud, not by him, by other people. Other people who I will not argue with, who told me no. But yes, he's very, very good. Hopefully I get to do some more stuff with him. I really like doing history podcasts, and they're a lot of fun. So, but check them out because it's good, it's solid, it's well researched, it's really
far better than us.
Yes, it is far more professional. It is organized and reasonable.
All right,
there's the story to it, you know, and we're just weird.
We're just ramblers.
Yeah,
we're just ramblers with faces for radio.
Lord, I was born a rambling man.
So many people just unsubscribed.
I know. See, and that would never happen.
That was terrible.
I should listen to that one. It's,
All right. On that note, this has been episode 116 of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
It.